So as I was saying, I'm preparing my equipment. I'm using, for the equipment that would come in contact with any of the product that's produced in the distillation, I use 190 proof organic alcohol, and it works at obviously breaking up resinous, oily deposits. So it's going to strip it of any residual oils that might remain, as well as kill off any bacterial or fungal yeast that may have been blown into it. And so this is called a separatory funnel, and this is what we'll be using to collect the essential oil and hydrosol, and it's also the apparatus that's used to separate the hydrosol from the essential oil. We'll talk a little bit more about that.
And welcome to the still room at Honest to God Organics, aka my kitchen. And today we're going to be talking hydrosols and hydrosol distillation. And we are going to be distilling Salvia rosmarinus, aka rosemary, common herb found in a lot of gardens. And we're going to be talking about harvesting, distilling methods, as well as hydrosol capture and benefits. So come on with me and join me as we get into this. Oh, there's a baby mantis. Sorry. Look at that. We got a little friend.
Hey, dude.
He's like, what is going on?
The first element of distilling is writing it down, so you know what happened and you can attempt to recreate or get some insight into recreating your distillation and understanding what you produced. It's also really good for charting if you were distilling for essential oil. Understanding the weight of plant material versus your yield will help give you an idea if you harvested your plant material at peak time. And so this morning, today's Earth Day, and I think it's a perfect day for distilling. I'm super excited to be doing this, but it's partly cloudy out there, and I got out there and I harvested this at about 9 o'clock this morning. And the plant material, oh, there's another mantis. There, it's just like crawling with mantises. It's so funny. But the plant material is already flowered, and the great thing about rosemary is that it's a good plant to distill pretty much all year long. You're gonna have a quality hydrosol or a quality essential oil. There's gonna be times when it's in flowering phase where it's a little bit more ideal for certain chemistry that you would be looking for, but that's getting into some complex stuff. But so once harvesting the plant material, you have to think about how you want to process your plant material. Some distillers out there will say to wash it. There's no need to wash your plant material. And I think if you do, you're actually taking away some of the superficial chemistry that would be there. I like to remove the thick parts of the stick, but I don't mind if there's like flexible stem that is in there. You can strip it or leave it. But if you strip it down, what you're doing is you're allowing more plant material to be put into the still. And when you have a smaller still, more plant material is crucial because size dictates yield. And anytime that we distill, we always want to get maximum. So I'm going to go ahead and go through and strip this plant material down, and I'm going to weigh it. So right now, 13.5 ounces. And so when we're doing a pack on a column, we want to make sure that we have an even distribution of plant material, and make sure that we don't have little pockets where it's uneven or like the size even. We want to go around and make sure that there's a really good pack on that plant material. this right here is called the pot. And again, when you have your plant material in the pot with the water, this is also where the water goes, and the part that sits on top of the stove. We're using a butane stove today. It's a hydrodistillation. And then we have what's called the column, and we have this column packed with 20 ounces of the rosemary stripped down. And it's got a nice even pack on it. And so we're gonna get that on top of here. We have a little pin that puts that in place. On here, I am a celiac, and so I do not use rye flour paste. I actually use the Nashua self-adhering silicone tape. Some people use plumber's tape, but I really like the ease, and if you do it right, you can use it multiple times. I like this Nashua tape, and it works really good on stills up to like a 90-liter still. And again, this is a 10-liter copper alembic that we're using today. And you can see it puts a nice little seal, and what you're doing is you're encouraging that steam to stay inside the still and work in the distillation. So now we have our pot and our column built, and now we're going to add on our hat. I'm going to give it a good little stretch. Bring it around like so. No, that's on there. Okay. So this is the condenser, and basically in a distillation, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be generating steam from the butane stove and with the water that is in here in the plant material. And the goal is to generate good steam that is going to rise through this plant material and begin to break that plant material down, releasing the volatile components. It's going to rise up into the hat, and we know that hot expands and creates pressure, and we know that cold shrinks and contracts. And so the condenser is what cools it down and kind of brings it across that bridge and turns it from its gaseous state back into a liquid state. And that's what the coiled condenser's job is to do. Now, if we were distilling for an essential oil as the primary product that we were wanting to obtain, we would distill a little bit differently. We would not be operating a very cold condenser. But today we're distilling for the purpose and objective of hydrosol, and so there's some parameters that we put in place in how we distill that will encourage a higher quality, higher concentrated hydrosol. So the chemistry that is in there can kind of go one of two ways. There's what we call lipophilic and hydrophilic, and what we're doing is we're going to conduct a distillation that encourages the chemistry into the lipophilic phase, or concentrate the lipophilic phase. I like to think of it operating the condenser kind of as a sponge, like we're going to give the steam a good squeeze and a shock, and kind of shock those constituents into the hydrophilic form. And they're non-binding constituents that get suspended in the plant volatiles. There's cellular water that is in there, and plant acids that make up a hydrosol, whereas an essential oil is really just fat, or the oil of the plant and the chemistry that's led into that lipophilic phase, fat-loving phase. You want to keep the environment as clean as possible so that nothing makes its way into your hydrosol. So I like to do what I call closed collection system, and that is where you're taking efforts to mitigate contamination into the distillation. And so what that means is, for example, you saw I had the hose on there. Imagine the hose going directly into the collection and me wrapping that opening with a cloth that has been soaked in rubbing alcohol. Or for this instance, we soaked this cloth in rubbing alcohol and we placed it over it. And then I'm going to continue to spray it and keep it wet with alcohol so that the contaminants, the particulates that are in the air are not landing and falling into the hydrosol. So even though they are very easy to contaminate, I will say that another advantage of using the copper is that copper lends an antimicrobial balance to the product. And then the chemistry that is in this is anti-inflammatory, obviously on the skin, but it's antioxidative, and it's used in the food industry, like rosemary hydrosol is used in the food production industry to preserve and protect and make foods last. So that's something that is kind of exciting to see that is happening right now, is that food production is looking at hydrosols and the benefits of them. I like all the sounds. The slurps and the...
Right. So we're just gonna stick the sanitized hose down in there, and we've got our funnel here, and we're just gonna open this valve up and begin to release the hydrosol from the bottom while the essential oil floats. This is the bulb. We probably have about 1,200 milliliters of hydrosol that we produced in the first hour. And so as this water line comes down, you're going to see that the essential oil line increases. And we're going to start to slow that flow because we don't want to get essential oil into the hydrosol. And there you go. So this is our hydrosol, our hydrolat, and that's our essential oil.
The essential oil, and then we would open that valve and collect the essential oil.
So when you make the